They were in the same class. Paul was a skinny, straight-A student wearing glasses. He wasn't a troublemaker. He didn't skip classes. Mia didn't pay any attention to him, just like the other girls. It was either the warm, sunny May, or maybe their time had come. But during physics class, their eyes met, and Mia's heart started beating really hard in her chest. She was afraid to look at him in class, and she wanted to make sure that he was looking at her, waiting for her to look back at him. The bell rang, and everyone hurried out of the classroom, making a noise, putting their textbooks into their bags, and Mia turned her head. Paul's gaze burned her again. Her heart fluttered again. Until the end of classes, she was absent-minded and thoughtful. Up with her on the way home, Mia didn't remember what they talked about. Then they sat next to each other in the darkened cinema hall, and it seemed to her that their hearts were beating in unison, and the whole cinema would have heard it if not for the loud music of the movie. He took her hand for the first time, and a shiver ran through her body. Everything was new that May. The first dates, the first timid kisses to the point of exhaustion, the first confessions. The graduation exams that had begun cooled their hot hearts a bit. They agreed that they would study together at their hometown university, albeit in different departments. His mother is a doctor in a polyclinic, and his father is a simple engineer. Yes, an ordinary, intelligent family. I mean, there's nothing good about it. They both have small salaries. They have to save for a whole year to go on vacation to the sea. Big purchases are hard to come by. Such a life myself, and I don't want that for Mia, her mother complained over the phone to her only friend, who lived in the capital. Her friend agreed and offered to send Mia to the university in the capital. Ace at home, let her live in my place. Also, here is a different environment, and send her to me as soon as possible, before they go too far. You know how fast things are going now. It's love, and God forbid she'll get pregnant. Mia's mother decided to take immediate action. When Mia came home from her date with Paul, she started a direct conversation. I understand. You two are in love and everything, but think about it. Why do you need him? You're beautiful. You deserve better. What kind of life would you have with him? A first tiny rented apartment, then you'll buy your own small apartment, and for 30 years you'll pay the mortgage and live from paycheck to paycheck. Then you'll have kids, sleepless nights. You'll send your child to kindergarten so you can go to work early. Fights based on lack of money will finally kill your love. This is not the life I wanted for you. We're not getting married. What are you talking about? We need to get an education first, Mia replied embarrassedly. But the hopeless future her mother eloquently described made a distressing impression on her. That's what I'm talking about. Abby, my friend, suggested you go to university in the capital and live at her place. What's keeping you in this town? What kind of future would you have here? There are more opportunities in the capital. I've already bought plane tickets for tomorrow, so pack your bags. But what about... Mia didn't dare say Paul's name. I completely understand you, darling. I was young too. Love is tested by time and distance. You'll come here for the holidays. I want the best for you. Her mother had raised her alone, and Mia knew what it had cost her. She was an obedient daughter. Paul calmed Mia down, promised to wait for her, and said their feelings would overcome the distance. Moreover, the distance between them wasn't that great. Mia easily got into one of the universities in the capital. Day, her mother's friend, Abby's colleague, came with her son, a handsome young guy. He liked Mia at once. Stop acting like a kid. Jonathan's parents are wealthy. He's got a fancy apartment downtown. You'll have an easy, carefree life, Abby kept saying at every chance she got. Your Paul already forgot about you a long time ago. I saw him with a girl the other day. her mother insinuated during phone conversations. Calls the first days of separation were soon replaced by short messages. How are you? What are you doing? I miss you. I don't have any free time at all. Mia arrived home for the winter holidays. The lovers' reunion was low-key, with no hot kisses or confessions. Mia had already passed her final exams at the end of the semester, and Paul's exams had yet to come. He devoted all his time to preparing for the exams. Offended, Mia returned to the capital. 2 years later, she married Jonathan. Her parents bought them an apartment as a wedding gift. Celebrated the fact that she had made a wonderful life for her daughter. Mia's life was peaceful and quiet. Everyone around her thought she got a winning ticket in the form of a good husband, a loving father for their daughter, a job with a decent wage, a large apartment, a summer cottage, a good car. For a while, Mia thought so too. Life in peace and harmony without problems and turmoil, what could be better? But frankly, Mia often thought back to the spring of her graduation year at school. The sultry glances in class, the hot, inept secret kisses that made her dizzy, and her legs unsteady. The cool, rainy April was replaced by a warm May. The sun was shining, the birds were singing outside the office windows, and the fresh foliage added festive colors to the cityscape of the capital. Mia suddenly felt a strong urge to go outside and enjoy the rays of the gentle spring sun. At lunchtime, she went for a walk, then went into a half-empty cafe for a cup of coffee. At a nearby table sat a young man. Their gazes happened to meet, and Mia felt a familiar excitement and shiver. She recognized the grown-up, more mature Paul. He moved to her table and told her that he had recently moved here after his divorce. The lunch break was long over, but they kept talking and couldn't get enough of each other, forgetting about the time. As they said goodbye, they agreed to meet here again tomorrow. The next day, Mia counted the minutes until her lunch break, and even though it was drizzling, she ran out to the cafe. Paul was already waiting impatiently for her at the same table. Their hearts were beating joyfully in unison again, just like on that May day in high school. Sparks flashed between them again at the occasional touch of hands and knees. Love captured them both. But now it was not the shy, childish love, but a mature, powerful, irresistible love that justified and conquered everything. They jumped into this love as if they had been waiting for it for a long time. Husband, daughter, everything was pushed aside. They met intermittently, wasting no time in talking and reminiscing, and figuring out which of them had caused the long separation and broken love back then. Mia felt remorse, but she could no longer imagine her life without Paul, without his love. She woke up in the middle of the night afraid that she was only dreaming that there was no Paul, but a boring, empty life with Jonathan. To wait, her eyes sparkled and a wandering smile played on her lips. Her mother-in-law once asked her directly if she fell in love. Such a dramatic change had taken place in her daughter-in-law. Hid her happy eyes. "Just don't ruin the family," her mother-in-law said, sighing. Her mother called, screaming into the phone that Mia was out of her mind. "Do you want to ruin everything? Do you want to ruin your life for a fleeting feeling? Do you want to lose everything you've worked so hard for? And for whom? Come to your senses before it's too late, Mia." Mia thought a lot in those days, lying awake next to her sleeping husband and staring at the ceiling. She missed Paul desperately, suffocated with love for him, till they bled so she wouldn't howl with longing and hopelessness. They no longer met in a cafe. Paul had rented an apartment not far from her office so he wouldn't have to waste time driving. As soon as they entered the apartment, he would take her in his arms and not let her out for a second, making up for the lost time that they had deprived themselves of. Then they put on their masks of serenity, hardly unclasped their hands, and went in different directions until they met again. New again, just as it had been in that high school May. After all, they had never experienced anything like that with anyone else. Mia looked prettier and glowed with happiness. She got that amazing energy that only loving and beloved women have. Men at work and on the street looked at her with admiring glances. One day Mia was walking home slowly and saw a young woman on a bench crying profusely. "Did something happen to you? Did someone die?" Mia asked, sitting next to her, and briefly told her story, so similar to Mia's. Her parents had separated her from her first love and taken her far away for many years. They had met by chance 2 years ago. Both were happily married and both had children, but they could not overcome the love that arose with renewed vigor. They told their spouses about it because they were afraid of offending their children. To meet today, but he died yesterday. Got in a car accident. If only I had known that we were destined to be together for so short a time. I wouldn't have lost a minute. I would have left everything and been by his side every precious moment. And we were afraid of something delaying. Mia walked home and thought that she could not live without Paul. But for some reason, she did not leave the boring gray life with Jonathan yet. What if she, too, would regret her hesitation? How much time do they have? Who knows? She even stopped with the fear that it could really happen. Yes, she should tell her husband everything, and come what may. It's more honest than deceiving him every day. Her step, and suddenly saw her husband's car by the sidewalk. Mia wondered, why is he even here? He works in a different part of the city. She walked over to the car and peered through the side window. In the back seat, her husband was kissing a young woman. They hadn't noticed Mia. When her husband came home in high spirits, Mia said she had seen everything. The husband didn't deny it or make excuses. Jonathan confessed that he had been in love with this girl before he met Mia. His parents didn't like her and insisted that he marry Mia. 3 years ago, they met by chance and became lovers. "Why didn't you break off our relationship and go to her?" Mia asked calmly. Now she realized the reason for her husband's coldness and indifference toward her. "I don't know. I was afraid for you, for our daughter," her husband answered. "Do you love her? So what are you waiting for? Stop torturing yourself and living a fake life. And what about our daughter? She's a big girl now. She's 13. Let her decide for herself who she wants to stay with," Mia said. "Just like that?" "Yes. We don't owe each other anything, but we have to live with the one we love." Mia rushed to Paul without hiding, without fear of judgment. For the first time, she was afraid of only one thing: missing time. "You?" He rejoiced, opening the door. "Me. I have come to you for good, and my daughter has decided to live with me. That's a good thing. I'll look for another, bigger apartment tomorrow." So, why ruin a good family? Some might say. But is it really a good family? If there's no love, it's not a family. It's just coexistence. Sooner or later, love will come. And what happens next? Then it's up to the two of them. Neither time nor distance affected Paul and Mia's feelings. They only made them stronger. They are destined to be together. They are destined for love. That's the way it is. Everyone decides for himself whether to live without love, following external conditions and being afraid of condemnation, or to love and be loved despite everything. It is easier to live without love, but there is no point in living without. You get to the end of your life. The only thing that will have any meaning is the love you have given and received. In your journey to another world, the only thing you can take with you is love. The only valuable thing you will leave behind in this world is love. Nothing else.